Good day everyone. We are Group 12. GR number 215009. Republic of the Philippines versus Carmen Santorio Galeno, the respondent. Decision. Assumed in this petition for review of certiorari other decision. Date June 27, 2013, and the resolution date September 17, 2014, rendered by Court of Appeals, CA. In CAGR, CB number 02085, affirming the orders date October 13, 2006, and January 22, 2007, of the Regional Trial Court of the Dumangas, Iloilo Branch 68 or RTC, which allowed the correction of the area of lot number 2285 in original certificate of title October number 46417 from 20,948 square meters to 21,298 square meters. The facts. On September 2, 2003, Respondent Carmen Santorio Galeno filed a petition for correction of the area of lot number 2285, covered October number 46417. Jingle Cadastre Subject Property. Before the RTC, she alleged therein that she is one of the owners of the subject property by virtue of a deed sale. Date July 6, 1962. The survey and subdivision of the subject property was duly approved by the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or DENR. For its approved subdivision plan of lot number 2285, respondent further alleged that when she and her co-owners had the subject property surveyed for the purpose of partition, they discovered a discrepancy in the land area of the subject property as appearing in October number 46417, and that the title reflects an area up to 20,948 square meters, while the certification issued by DENR, Office of the Regional Technical Director, Flood Management Service, shows an area of 21,298 square meters. Hence, she sought to correct the area of subject property in order to avoid further confusion and claimed to have notified and adjoining owners. There being opposition to the petition, the RTC allowed the presentation of respondents' evidence ex parte for the branch clerk as well as for the satisfaction of the jurisdictional requirements. The RTC ruling. In an order dated October 13, 2006, the RTC granted the petition upon a finding that respondent was able to substantiate and allegations in her petitions warrant a correction of the area of the subject property. Hence, is directed the Register of Deeds of the Province of Iloilo to correct such area is in October number 46417 from 20,948 to 21,298 square meters. Hearing petitioner, Republic of the Philippines, or the petitioner, through the Office of the Solicitor General, or OSG, filed a motion for reconsideration claiming that the adjoining owners had not been notified, stressing that such notice is a jurisdictional requirement. In the order dated January 22, 2007, the, R- the RTC denied the motion, finding that a notice of hearing was sent to the adjoining owners. As such, respondent was able to prove compliance with the said jurisdictional requirement. Agreed to his petitioner appealed to the CA. The CA ruling. In a decision date June 27, 2013, the CA affirmed the RTC order. It found that respondent, by a preponderance of evidence, was able to prove, based on the records of the proper government authority, the Office of the Technical Director, Flood Management Service of the DANR, that the true and correct area of the subject property was 21,900 298 correction 21,298 square meters as shown in the approved plan. Moreover, the petitioner failed to rebut with the contrary. Evident respondents claimed that she and her co-owners followed the boundaries and the technical description of October number 46417 when they caused its survey. In fact, no proof had been adduced to show that the boundaries had been altered. Also, the CA pointed out that none of the adjoining owners who were properly notified on of the proceedings and who stand to be adversely affected by the change in the land area of subject property object to respondent petition. Petitioner's motion from reconsideration was denied in the resolution dated September 17, 2014, hence this petition. The issue before the court. The issue advanced for the court's resolution is whether or not the CA erred in upholding the correction of the area of the subject property in October number 46417. The court's ruling. The petition is meritorious. A scrutiny of the evidence marked and formally offered by the respondent. Before the court, the co shows that the former failed to prove that there was sufficient basis to allow the correction of the area of the subject property in October number 46417 from 20,948 square meters to 21,248 square meters. Records revealed that respondent offered in evidence the following documents: the certification issued by the certain Altea C. Acevedo, Engineer for Chief of the Technical Service Section of the Office of the Regional Technical Director, Land Management Service of the DANR in Iloilo City, which states that the true and the correct area of lot 2285 246 Dingle Cadastre is 21,928 square meters. B. The technical description of lot number 2285, a copy of which was certified by Ameto Caballero, Chief of the Surveys Division, while another copy was certified correct by Acevedo MC. The approved subdivision plan lot number 2258, certified Rogelio M. Santome, Geodetic Engineer Alfredo Moraisas, Chief of the Regional Surveys Division, and Edgardo R. Gerobin, OIC Regional Technical Director of the Land Management Service, DANR. On the strength of this piece of evidence, respondents sought reconciliation of the area of the subject property with the records of the ANR. Unfortunately, the foregoing document evidence are not sufficient to warrant the correction prayed for. The court cannot afford probative weight upon them in the view of fact that the public officer who issued the same did not testify in court to prove that fact state therein. In Republic Media, correction. In Republic v. Medida, the court held the certification of the regional technical director or DNR cannot be considered prima facie evidence of the facts that state therein, holding that public documents are defined under Section 19, Rule 132 of the Revised Rules of Evidence as follows. A. The written official acts or records of the official acts of the sovereign authority, official bodies and tribunals, and public officers, whether of the Philippines or a foreign country. B. Documents acknowledged before notary public except last will and testaments, and C. Public records kept in the Philippines of private documents required by law to be entered therein. Lario.
Okay. Apply Section 24 of Rule 123. The record of Republic documents referred to in Section 19, when admissible for any purpose, may be evidenced by unofficial publication thereof or by a copy attested by the officer having legal custody of records or by his deputy. Section 23, Rule 132 of the Revised Rules on Evidence provides. Section 23, Public documents as evidence. Documents consisting of entries in public records made in the performance of a duty by a public officer are primary passive evidence of a fact stated therein. All of public documents are evidence, even against a third person, of the fact which gave rise to their execution and of the date of the letter. The Centro of Regional Technical Director, FMS DNR certifications not fall within the class of public documents contemplated in the first sentence of Section 23 of Rule 132. The certification do not reflect entries in public records made in the performance of a duty by a public officers, such as entries made by the civil registrar in books of registries or by a ship contained in the ship's logbook. The certification are not the certified copies or authenticated reproduction of original official records in legal custody of government office. The certification are not even records of public documents. As such, since the testimonies of Acevedo, Caballero, and the other public officers who issued respondents documentary evidence to confirm the veracity of its contents. The same are bereft or probative value and cannot, by their mere assurance, prove the fact stated therein. At best, they may be considered only as prima facie evidence of their due execution and date of issuance but do not constitute prim, prima facie evidence of facts stated therein. Next. In fact, contents are the certifications are herses because respondent's sole witness and attorney. In fact, Legaleno Baraka was incompetent to testify on veracity of their contents, as she did not prepare any of the certifications, or was she public officer of concerned government agencies. Notably, while it is true that the public prosecutor who respected petitioner interposed no objection to the admission of foregoing evidence in the proceeding in the court below. It should be borne in mind that hearsay evidence, whether objected to or not, has no probative value unless the proponent can show that the evidence falls within the exceptions the hearsay evidence rule, which do not, however, obtain this case barely, while respondents' documentary evidence may have been admitted due to opposing parties' lack of objection. It does not, however, mean that they should accorded any probative weight. The court thus explained that the general rule is that hearsay evidence is not admissible. However, the lack of objective to hearsay testimony may result in its being admitted as evidence. But one should not be misled into thinking that such declarations are thereby impressed with probative value. Admissibility of evidence should not be equated with weight of evidence. Hearsay evidence, whether objected to or not, cannot be given credence for it has no probative value. Next. Beside case law state that the absence of opposition from government agencies is of no controlling significance because the state cannot be stopped by the omission, mistake, or error or of its officials or agents. Neither is the public barred from assailing the decision granting the petition for reconstitution if on the basis of the law and the evidence on record. Such petitions has no merit. Moreover, in civil cases, the party having the burden of proof must produce a preponderance of evidence thereon, with plaintiff having to rely on the strength of this own evidence and not upon the weakness of the defendants. Next. In the court holds that respondent did not present any competent evidence to prove that true and correct area of subject properties is 21,298 square meters instead of 20,948 square meters to warrant a correction thereof in October no 46417. Accordingly, respondent's petition for the correction of the said certificate of title must be denied and the present petition be granted. Wherefore, the petition is granted. The assailed decision date June 27, 2013, and the resolution dated September 17, 2014, rendered by the Court of Appeals in CAGRCB No. 02085 are hereby reserved and set aside Carmen Santorio Galenos petition for correction of area of lot number 2285 on original certificate of title 46417 is dismissed. So ordered.
Year number 205888, August 22, 2018. People of the Philippines, Plaintiff Appeal versus XXX Accused Appellant. Decision. Kagiwa. This is an appeal filed under Section 13, Rule 124 of the Rule of Court from the decision dated April 19, 2012. Question documents. A decision of the Court of Appeal, Cebu City, 19th Division, CA in CAGRCRHC number 00332, which appears in a part to the decision dated from 16 2005 RTC decision of the Regional Trial Court of Bayas City Branch 45 RTC in criminal case number F0203 AF 0201 AF 2 0011717 AF 0202A and F 2001 170 a convincing Hernan accused appellant XXX for 3 counts of rape. Next, the fact. 4 separate information for rape and 1 information for attempted rape were filed in RTC against XXX as follows. Next, as summarized in the RTC decision, the antecedents are as follows. In her decision, testimony AAA testified that the accused is her father and she is the eldest of the 3 children. Her younger brother BBB is 13 years old and the youngest CCC is 7 years old. She recalled that in the evening of July 18, 1999, her mother was in Dumaguete City to sell mats. And when they settled from the night, she slept with her 2 younger brother and her father. The accused later is the evening. She was awake and she found out that she had no short pants and panty. And her father was beside her and felt that the penis of her father was direct to her anus. She managed to keep her legs together and through accused was not successfully injecting her organ into her vagina. She was 14 years old at that time. Her father warned him to tell her mother, otherwise she who did her. AA further recalled that April 8, 2001 was his birthday. She was prepared to be alone in their house for, for the night as her father and mother in company with her younger brother were in the house of her grandmother in Capuan, a neighboring barangay. But suddenly, her father arrived in their house at about 5 in the afternoon and immediately held her and took off her shorts, pants, and panty. In spite of her struggle to resist, her father was able to lay her down on the floor of their house and was successful injecting her penis into her sexual organ. She felt pain and this was he her sexual intercourse, he threatened he with death if she would tell her mother about that incident. A further testified that in the afternoon of April 15, 2001, she was in the house of her aunt, DDD, when her father arrived and told go home with her, and she told her that her mother was crying because she left home without permission. But when she and her father arrived at their house, she found out her mother was not there. Her father heard and hugged to took off her pants and panties, led her down and inject her sexual organ into her. After the sexual abuse by her father, she wanted to go out their house, but her father locked the door. At about 9 in the evening of that Sunday, her father took up their shirt again, and her father forcible injected their sexual organ again. And at 12 midnight, her father took off her shirt, pants, and panties, laid on the top of her, and forcible injected her penis. She was about to free himself, but her father had he lightened. She cried and was not able to sleep that the whole due to the pain she was experienced from her sexual organ. Without waiting for the mother and brother to arrive, she left their house in the morning of the following day, April 16, 2001, and went to DDD. In the hearing of January 20, 2003, Public Prosecutor Marites Macorobo info that court that AAA died on May 15, 2003. Ms. Belgueta Banzuelo, a social worker at the Department of Social Welfare and Development, presented to the court the death certificate of upon motion by the defense. The direct testimony of AAA was ordered expunged for the record on grounding that AAA was not able subjected to the cross-examination. However, in spite of the death of AAA and her direct testimony have been expunged from the record, the prosecution present other prosecution witnesses, namely Jelny Calug, XXX, Lovila Opada, and Vicente Tuengo, and in an effort to salvage the cause for the state, the prosecution aside evidence of Regueta through the testimony of its witnesses, Gelnwe, Kalug, and EE. EE, an auntie of AAA, being the sister of the mother of the latter, testified that noon time of April 16, 2001, AAA arrived at her home. She noticed that AAA was sad and crying upon her inquiry, and AAA told her that she was raped by the father of April 8 and three times more ago on April 15, 2001. During the few days of AAA stay at her house, she opened that saw AA crying a few days after. AA went to the home of Pedro de los Santos to work as a house helper. Her employer, Pedro de los Santos, helped her in closing the rape case, and AE and De Los Santos companies AAA to report the incident to the police. Then Kalug testified that of AA April 18, 2001, 42 worked for the first time as a house helper in the she noticed that AA and was sad and lonely and upon was her crying, so confined to him that then their problems and revealed to him that she was raped by their own father of April 8 and 15 of the year 2001. He noticed that AAA had told her employer Pedro de los Santos of what he had be, befallen to her. After 8 months, she left the De Los Santos household and they did not know any more of her what about and only to hear from the radio broadcast that AAA was dead. Ruling of the RTC. In the RTC decision, XXX was found guilty only for the 3 counts of rape committed on April 15, 2001 and acquitted from the charge in criminal case NOS F0201 A and F0203 A for rape and attempted rape respectively. Next, in the RTC decision, XXX was found guilty only for the 3 times rape of committed on April 15, 2001 and acquitted from the charge in criminal case NOS F0201 A and F0203 A for rape and attempted rape respectively. Wherefore premises considered this court find accused XX guilty beyond reasonable doubt of 3 counts of rape and it they be sentenced in suffer in each the penalty of reclusion perpetua and order to pay the hair of the victim in each case. The amount of 50,000 as civil indemnity and the amount of 50,000 a moral damage and to pay costs for failure of the part of the prosecution to provide the guilt of accused beyond reasonable that he is thereby declared acquitted from the charge in criminal case NOS F0201 and F0203A. The accused is hereby credited in full for the period he had undergo preventive imprisonment provided he agree in written to abide with the rule prescribed for convicted person prisoners. So other emphasis in the original. The RTC dispute the lack of AA testimony due to her intervening that mainly relied in the separate testimonies of Gilmay Kalug and EA's finding executive guilt beyond reasonable doubt. The RTC found that the utterance made by AA to them, while not made immediately of simulation to the rape incident, could still be considered part of the regeste days were so connected with it as to make the act of declaration of main facts inspirable or generated by an excited feeling with extend without break or let down. For the amount of the event, they illustrate the RTC also found that such statements were made under such circumstances as to preclude and deliberate design or an opportunity to devise anything contrary to the actual event that's transferred. Notable, the RTC did not appreciate the special qualification circumstances to appellation as the same but not proven during trial to competent evidence. The baptismal record presented by the prosecution were not considered by the RTC as they were not public record and therefore insufficient to establish such peculiar relationship. And XXX defined the RTC does not give any weight there to for being the sample denial of the accusation. Moreover, XXX ancillary defense of alibi was likewise rejected for being lauded in confusing uncertainly from XXX himself as lone witness for the defense. Unsatisfied, XXX elevated the case to the CA via notice of appeal. Date February 2008-2005 brief were that filed by XXX and plaintiff appeal respectively dated April 24, 2008 and September 17, 2010. In his appeal, XXX mainly argued that the RTC erred in considering the testimony are resguete instead claimed that such statements were purely hearsay as they were opened in court only after 2 years from the date of the alleged incident. Next, Romo.
Ruling of the CA. On April 19, 2012, the CA rendered a question decision affirming the RTC decision to wit whereof promise considered February 16, 2005 of the Regional Trial Court Branch 45 Baay City in criminal case number F2001-171A and F0202 and F2001-170 hereby approved into toto. So ordered. Hence in instant appeal. In lie of supplemental briefs, plaintiff appeal filed a manifestation dated January 3, 2015 while XXS filed a manifestation in lieu of supplementary briefs dated January 7, 2004. Next. Whether XX guilt for the 3 counts of rape was proven beyond reasonable doubt. The court ruling. The appeal lacks merit. In his appeal, XS argued that he cannot be convicted based on mainly on the testimonies of Calog and EEE, which he claims are purely hearsay evidence without the testimony of AA identifying him as the perpetrator of all acts. Complied of XXX complained that he can no longer be found guilty under the crimes charge. Next. After the outset, the court notes that the RTC correctly proceed with the trial despite the death of the private complainant, AAA, a criminal cases. The offended party is the state and the role of the private complainant is limited to the determination use. Hence, in this case, considering that the death of AA did not extinguish the criminal liability of XX, the trial rightfully ensued with the rest of the evidence for the prosecution. Next. However, the intervening death of AA was not without consequence. The court herein reiterates, as initially observed by the RTC, that an accused is guaranteed by no less than the Constitution the right to cross-examine a witness. Section 14, Article 3 of the Constitution provides that the accused shall have the right to meet the witness face to face, which is i- included in Section 1. Rule 1 cross-examinability and truthfulness of the testimony offered, and likewise provide an opportunity for the accused to demonstrate substantial inconsistencies that could create reasonable doubt as to his guilt. In this regard, the RTC was correct in excluding AA direct testimony from the records, notwithstanding the incriminating constant thereof. Presenting from the foregoing, the only issue that remains in simply whether the testimonies Kalog and EEE pertaining to the statement of AA can be considered part of the res gestea and those produced on conviction. Next. Testify on fact perception and not on what he was merely learned or heard from others. Hearsay evidence or those derived outside of a witness' personal knowledge are generally inadmissible due to the serious concern on their reliability. Such evidence by nature information and likewise have not undergone the benefits of cross-examination to test the reliability of the out of court's declarant on which the relevant weight on the out of court statement depends. Hence, as a general rule, hearsay evidence is inadmissible in a court of law. An exception, however, Section 42 of Rule 130 allows the admission of hearsay evidence as part of the res gestae. Next. Section 42, part of the res gestea. Statement made by a person while a startling occurrence is taking place or immediately prior or subsequent thereto with the respect to the circumstances thereof may be given in evidence as part of the res gestea. So also, statement accompanying an equivocal material to the issue and giving it legal significance may be received as part of the res gestea. Next. The following requests must those be satisfied for the exception to apply. That the principal act, the registea, be a startling occurrence, that the statement were made before the declarant had the time to contrive or devise a falsehood, and that the statement must concern the occurrence in question and its immediately attending circumstances. Next. In the same case, the court held that in determining the admissibility of evidence as part of the res gestae, the test is whether the act declaration was made as a spontaneous reaction made is intimately interwoven or connected with the principal fact of event that they characterize as to be regarded as part of the transaction itself, and whether it negates any premeditation or purpose to manufactured testimony. And then the requirement of spontaneity. The court in People versus Manhoyud Jr. Manhoyud Jr. laid down several factors in determining whether statement offered in evidence as part of the res gestae have satisfied the requirements of spontaneity. It goes without saying that the element of spontaneity is critical. The following factors are then considered is determining whether statement offered in evidence as part of the res gestae have been made spontaneously. 1. The time that space between the occurrence of the actual transaction and the making of the statement. 2. The place where the statement was made. 3. The condition of the declarant when he made the statement. 4. The presence of or absence of intervening event between the occurrence and the statement relative thereto. And 5. The nature of circumstances of all statement itself. Also, the first factor, the